When you think about forests, you really have to think about the long term. When it comes to the human lifetime, it's much shorter than the forest's lifetime. We help people practice ecological forestry on their land. Ecological forestry is an approach to the forest that looks at it as a whole system. So not just for timber production, but also for all kinds of ecosystem services, wildlife habitat, carbon storage, recreation, even, spiritual solace. To manage the forest in that way, you have to understand everything that's going on in it, from the soil, through the understory, the trees, and where it's come from, and where you imagine it might go in the future. And we help people figure out how they can steward the land that they're looking after. And so we urge people to consider systems of forest management where they grow trees to older ages, where they introduce more variation in the forest by thinning the forest and create more heterogeneity or diversity in the density of forest, so that there can be patches with understory that sustains the berries and other understory plants that wildlife enjoy.
I appreciate the relationship that King County has had with Northwest Natural Resource Group. We've been working with them for several years. In particular, working with NNRG on FSC certification, which is our Sustainable Forest certification on many of our working forest lands. They provide great and uniquely tailored advice for climate adaptation and forest carbon storage. And finally, they have a really great relationship with smaller scale forest owners and providing forest management advice and consulting services for people who need guidance in how to make their forests healthier.
Another project we're doing here with King County is we're looking into what will help this forest adapt to the climate we expect in the future. As the climate warms, we think that the sort of forest that can be supported by the climate of the 2050s and 60s will be different from the forest that the climate has been able to support so far. NNRG doesn't own any land of its own. And so the work that we do is all realized through partners whose land we're invited to work on. That's why when we work not just with King County, but also with all kinds of family forest owners, youth camps, church groups, land trusts, Indian tribes who own forest, that's one of the areas of focus that we bring to it, is how do we think about the forest for the future and for the next generation of stewards that will look after it.